Say, man, I don't know her. She's too quiet.
What up, though? It's your girl, She's Too Quiet, and welcome back to the She's Too Quiet podcast. This podcast is for the ones who've been overlooked, underestimated, or simply too quiet for the noise of this world. I'm Tania, a fellow introvert and woman of faith, inviting you to find strength in stillness, clarity in solitude, and purpose in your quiet voice. Every episode, you'll hear reflections, devotions, and quiet confessions that remind you don't have to be loud to be powerful. And if you're listening, you're already a part of the Quiet Power Club, a space where we celebrate gentle strength and the God who meets us in the silence. Let's get into it. What up, though? Happy Friday. We have officially made it to the weekend. I hope you had a great week. It has been very rainy here, very gloomy. How has your weather been? I was telling my mom on the phone, it seems like fall has came back and visited us once again. But nevertheless, all is well. I definitely can't complain. Today's kind of special because it is my birthday weekend. Shout out to all of the July babies out there. I hope y'all have a happy birthday. I know it's a lot of us. I'm surprised as I continue living this life how many July babies there actually are. But happy birthday to you, and I hope that next year blows your mind. The summer is very busy for me and my family because all of our birthdays are during the summer. It kicks off in May and it tapers down by the end of July. So, yeah, if you're trying to get some money out of me during the summer, I'm sorry, I just don't got it. I ain't got it. I ain't got it. So, today's episode, I want to just do a little bit of reflection and I want to talk about some things God has taught me throughout this year. Let's get this episode kicked off with a quiet confession. So, today, my quiet confession is I don't always get it right. Sometimes I say the wrong thing. Sometimes I overthink decisions. Sometimes I let fear keep me from taking the next step. There are days when my faith feels strong, and then there's other days God has to remind me to trust Him all over again. There have been many seasons where I thought that by the time my birthday hit, I'd have everything figured out. I'd be further along. I'd be more confident, more healed, more put together. But honestly, that's not my reality. The truth is, I'm still learning. I'm still making mistakes, and I still rely on God's grace every day. I think that's something a lot of us have in common. We can look at other people's lives or even listen to all these podcasts, and it's really easy to assume that people have it all together. But behind the scenes, we're all navigating something. We're all trying to figure out something. We're all recovering from something, okay? So, this birthday isn't a celebration of perfection, it's a celebration of growth. It's a celebration of grace. It's a celebration of another year of God patiently working with me, even when I don't always get it right. So today I just want to share with you, like I said, some things that God has been teaching me this year. I hope this resonates with you, all right? The first thing that He's taught me is that there's always room to grow. I know. It seems like growth is the overarching theme this season. But God, He reminds me of that. There's always room for improvement, not because I'm failing, not because I'm not enough, but it's really because growth never stops. After, sitting with God for a little bit, one thing that He often shows me is that sometimes I want results without going through the process. And is that you? We all say we want to be podcasters, influencers. When you get one follower a year, you know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard to keep going. But I truly ask God to help me become more patient, help me with my discipline, help me to be more consistent because those things don't magically appear. God has to develop them in us. I saw a TikTok the other day and it said, if you show up every day, the results won't have a choice. And listen, that right there is something that you put in your back pocket and you hold on to. When you run into those tough days and you need motivation, you pull that quote out and you're able to get your wheels turning again. So if you ever find yourself thinking, I'm good where I am, I want you to ask God, Lord, what do you still want to teach me? Now just be prepared though. Be prepared. He might give you a longer list than you expected, okay? And that's not a bad thing. Trust me, that's not a bad thing. It just means God loves you enough to keep you growing. The next thing that God taught me this year, coming in at number 2, is that closed doors aren't always rejection. So this year, I had the bright idea of applying for a training program that I was genuinely excited about. This program has been around since I've been working at this job, and I finally got an opportunity to apply. But here's the kicker. Your girl didn't even get an interview, y'all. I did not even get an interview. Now, I'm not going to pretend that didn't sting a little, okay? Because it did. I started wondering, like, man, was this the right time? Was I not qualified enough? Should I have done something differently? But after sitting with that thing for a while, I felt God reminded me of something that I've heard many times, but I had to experience it again. What God has for me is for me. Sometimes we think every door closed is a missed opportunity. But what if it's actually protection? God knows us better than we know ourselves. Am I right? Just like the loving Father He is, He sees what we can't see. He knows what we're ready for, what we're not ready for, and what we'll actually benefit from in the long run. Looking back, I'm grateful that I didn't have to force doors open that God intentionally left closed. The third thing that God taught me this year was to pour into my family when I can. Have y'all ever heard the saying that the older I get, the more I realize that success means very little if you don't have people to share it with? Y'all remember that quote? They used to say it a lot on movies, TV shows, all of that. This year reminded me that family deserves more than the leftovers of our time. We're so busy chasing goals, checking off to-do lists, answering emails, scrolling through social media, and before we know it, months have gone by without really connecting with the people we love. This year, me and my family, I think it actually started 2025, I want to say, but we started having these family meetings. I know I talked about it in another episode. And in these meetings, we talk about our legacy, our goals, and our lives in general. And honestly, it's just been so refreshing that I had to share it twice, okay? And it's very humbling because sometimes we think we know people because we've known them forever. But everyone has a story, everyone has dreams, everyone has things they're carrying. Relationships don't stay strong by accident. They grow because someone makes the effort. Life moves fast, y'all. It moves quickly. So let's not wait until it's too late to make memories with the people who matter most. The next thing God has taught me this year, coming in at number 4, is to hold on to the good moments. I think naturally we're wired to remember everything that went wrong. We know all the details of how we got our car repossessed. We know all the details on how we missed our flight. We know all the awkward conversations, the disappointments. We know all the heartbreaks since elementary school. We know all the mistakes. But this year, God challenged me to spend more time remembering what went right. Just think about it. Do you have a best day ever? What was the happiest day you ever had? Can you remember it? I mean, tell me about it. Like, who was there? What made you laugh? Why do you remember it most? Were you celebrating anything? How did you feel? Sometimes we replay painful memories so often we forget God has given us beautiful ones too. Okay? Life is just not all bad. There's some sunshine coming through there, ain't it? As you look back over the years you've been alive. In a world that constantly reminds us of what's wrong, I've learned to intentionally hold on to what's good. Those memories become reminders that joy has visited us before, and it will again. The last thing God has taught me this year, coming in at number 5, is that God hasn't forgot about us. If there's one thing I hope to leave you with this episode, I want you to remember that He hasn't forgot about you. Maybe you've been praying for the same thing for years. Maybe you've been waiting for healing, waiting for a relationship, that new job, clarity, maybe your next opportunity. God still sees you. I've learned that God doesn't always show up the way I expect Him to, but He always reminds me that He's there. And these reminders can come through a simple conversation, something hitting that perfect timing, unexpected peace through a storm, or simply knowing I just made it through another day. I've also realized that my relationship with God can't be built on whether He gives me what I want. I don't serve Him because He answers every little prayer exactly the way I hoped. I serve Him simply because He's worthy. And somehow, when I keep seeking Him instead of just seeking His hand, I begin to notice all the little ways He's been taking care of me all along the way. So if you're waiting on God today, don't mistake His silence for His absence. Let me remind you, waiting doesn't mean forgotten. Silence doesn't mean absence. God is still working even when you can't see it. Before we wrap up today's episode, I have a little journal prompt for you. Before you rush into what's next, take a moment to reflect. What has God taught you this year? What blessing did you almost overlook? What closed door are you learning to trust Him with? Thank you for sitting with me for a few quiet moments today. If this episode encouraged you, make sure you are following She's Too Quiet. Make sure you're subscribed and stay connected so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to do 2 things: that's love God and love people. This is for the soft-spoken and deeply felt. Until next time, deuces.